down here to talk about a little bit, but you can look at that later. Basically, when we were doing our framework plan, we found that Avondale has a lot of amenities that aren't really being used to its fullest potential, a lot of it being the zoo and the hospitals. And so what we found is that everybody who's coming to the zoo and coming to work at the hospitals is not really staying in Avondale to spend money. So we have all this money going in and out of Avondale every day, but barely any of it's being spent inside Avondale. And so our framework plan was, how do we create something that will bring those two together so that way the zoo and the hospitals aren't separate from Avondale? And how do we create something that will draw more money into the Avondale area? And so that was kind of in the back of my head when I was thinking through this project. And what I want to do is create a new development that will invite people to stop and see what Avondale has to offer, because we do believe that Avondale has a lot of potential and a lot of good things in it that just aren't utilized enough. And so the first thing that I looked at was the area along MLK between Eden and Reading, and really where the new interchange is being proposed, which is right here at the right near 71. And I'm going to look at the land use and see what uses it has now and what could be in the future. And so a lot of this area here, which is mostly for the hospitals and even this area here is land that has a lot of potential to be built up and developed and potentially be incorporated into some sort of medical campus that way. We're not just taking the land from the hospitals, we're actually able to incorporate it back in with them and also into Avondale itself. And so I just picked a few areas here that I felt could be changed to mixed-use development and commercial development along here. And this big parking lot here between Harvey and Reading was the biggest area that I felt that could potentially in the future be even used as a TOD of some sort, transit-oriented development, because we will have soon the streetcar proposal, once that's finished, possibly adding another stop here. And if the high-speed rail and everything goes through well, that could possibly be something that will run along 71. So again, it could be a great spot for a TOD to be built. And so when I was doing some research on it, around different ideas for Avondale, I stole one from our framework plan, which was Octavia Boulevard in San Francisco. It's a great strip, and what they have done is they've created a space where you can use both high volume of traffic like MLK has, and mix that with separate lanes for people who want to park and go shopping. And so what it does is it expands the road so that you can have enough space for both the traffic and the parking and people driving through there. And it also brings the building frontage right up to the street, which is a lot more inviting and a lot more interesting for people to look at. And so when they're driving through, they might see that a building is right here next to them. They might want to, next time they drive through, come in and check it out. And the other precedent study that I did was the Port Authority bus terminal in New York. And it's a massive complex, and so not necessarily the same scale as what this could potentially be, but it does have uses that I was looking for with retail shops and different services that people need. And so it would create an inviting space for someone to come and wait for their bus, and maybe do some shopping before they need to go home or grab something before they want to go to work. And so I feel that this is definitely a good idea to look at when you look at that area for a potential TOD. And so I kind of created these just building masses. I didn't want to get too detailed in the architecture because I'm not an architect and I didn't want to focus more on that. I really wanted to focus more on the space and what could be used. And so different commercial uses and especially mixed uses up here with retail possibly on the bottom floor, and then the offices on the second and third floors. Also mixing in some apartments here and there so that gets more people actually living in Avondale, not just working there. And then again with the TOD to use a bridge that would create a safe place for pedestrians to cross Martin Luther King instead of having to worry about waiting for the light. They can always just have some sort of bridge or something there that would be useful. And so really what I wanted to do was create, we have a lane here on either side for parking and another lane for those cars to safely be able to park and not have to worry about dealing with the traffic that's coming behind them. Because if you've ever driven down Martin Luther King, it's basically a glorified highway between the hours of 4 to 6 and people are off work trying to get home quickly. So it's could be a potentially dangerous place to try to park. And that's one of the things that MLK does not have enough of is on-street parking. And so when you want to propose some new developments, you're going to need some on-street parking. And so that's why this lane would be helpful. And then on either side, you have about 3 lanes of through traffic that could be used for those people who do just want to get directly home. and then medians on either side of those, so that those will act as, they'll be aesthetically pleasing to look at, but they'll also potentially be traffic calming devices, so that there's visual stuff on either side that they have to be aware of, so when they're driving down, they're not just trying to fly through, and they can have something to look at, maybe possibly slow them down. And also, the lane here could potentially double as a bike lane, so that people who ride their bikes to work would not have to compete with the crazy through traffic that are trying to get home, or just trying to go right through Avondale. Yeah, so that's pretty much what my vision was, and what I think could really be useful in Avondale to draw more money into the neighborhood, instead of just having people drive through it and not spend anything.